Hello everyone, and welcome to Drop Tales. I'm Ali, an ALT currently working in Japan, in Japanese schools. If you have not been living under a rock for the last several weeks, you probably know what the big international news is right now. That's right, coronavirus. Yesterday evening, there was an urgent news alert. The Prime Minister of Japan, Abe, had an urgent request for all the public schools from elementary school to high school be closed early for spring break. Now, spring break doesn't start for many schools until, the 20-something, several weeks from now. And closing this early means that the students have a whole month off for spring break instead of just the usual 2 weeks. It's, frankly, a very, very big deal. He made this urgent request on national news without consulting or contacting educational facilities at all about this. So it was a big shock for me. It was a big shock for all the normal people in Japan, and it was an even bigger shock for the schools. So, as I'm sure you can imagine, when I went into work this morning, the teacher's room was in
chaos.
Absolute
chaos.
No one knew exactly what to do. Frankly, there's no precedent for this at all. I mean, sure, the schools have closed early for natural disasters where there's an obvious and immediate reason to shut down the schools. Schools are usually an emergency evacuation point. So it's usually full of normal people instead of students. And where are you gonna have school if, all these people who've evacuated their homes are sitting around in the school? Now, the coronavirus is very scary and it has killed a lot of people, but it's not an immediate concern in Gifu Prefecture. So this kind of preventative measure is definitely a first here in Japan. So why should the schools close? According to observations that have made up until now, and now mind that I am not a medical professional. I just watch the news and read the news. But from the little bit that they understand about coronavirus so far, it doesn't affect children strongly. The children or young people are very, very resilient and very, very resistant. If they catch it, their symptoms are very slight. Unlike with older people, where if they catch it, there's a high mortality rate. So we don't really have to protect the children so much. No, mind. The children are extremely important. It's the school's jobs to protect the children and to educate them. But Japan's also a country full of old people. The population density of old people is extremely high. And as much as I love my students, children are gross. And mind you, there are a lot of adults that are just as gross as a 2-year-old. But that aside, in general, adults are a little more aware of themselves, where with children, they will, sneeze in your face. They'll wipe their nose because, their nose itches. So of course they're going to scratch them. They don't understand these things. And when you have all these young people who don't fully understand the importance of hygiene stuffed into a school together, the germs are going to get shared and mixed. And while it might not affect the children so much, the children go home. And at home, there are adults. I have junior high school age students, so most of the parents are at their youngest in their late 30s. I think 40s or 50s are much more common among the parents at my school. And when you get into the 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 range, frankly, the virus is much harsher. And some of these children, live with their grandparents. They can carry it home and spread it to the older members of the family. Also, among the teaching staff, there are older members of the staff, and we have to think about their health as well. We're still going to come to school. All the teachers are still going to work, but I think the reduced number of people and, having adults who understand the basics of hygiene is still better, probably. Now, since I was just talking about how it's better not to have the students there at my school, well, yes, school is now canceled. When I first arrived to school in such a chaotic situation, The plan was to do your lessons as the final lessons, but we might have classes Monday. That was the plan. We changed the schedule from a full 50-minute class schedule to the shortened 45-minute class schedule so that we could send the students home a little earlier today. And then we were also cutting, I think, cleaning time, but still having recess. And then by lunchtime, things changed. It was officially the last day of school. And they also cut recess and fifth period. Now, for the last day of school in most Japanese schools, they have a lot of activities in the classroom. And on the very last day, they'll do things like put art on the chalkboard, with their class number, and thank you for teaching us for a year, and do a lot of cute doodles, and just have a lot of fun and make some good memories. And that's what happened today in the afternoon. I think the third years had an assembly in the gym to discuss graduation, which at my school is currently on hold. They have not yet decided whether or not it's going to be fully canceled or what, but the atmosphere is not good. I am actually extremely impressed with my coworkers and my students. No one saw this coming. And so in one day, one panicked day, the students managed to throw together, thank you cards for the teachers and, small drawings and presents. And the teachers were, especially the homeroom teachers, were scrambling to, print out, 40, 50 photos and laminate them and, do cute designs to hand to the students as, souvenirs for their school year. And they were throwing together, photo slideshows for the Sonnensei especially. It was amazing because it was such a busy day. They still had their classes, and somehow they pulled it all together. I don't know where they got them from, but somehow the school managed to get huge bouquets for the third year homeroom teachers, for the students to give to their teachers. And it was a whirlwind, and it all happened so fast. Like, emotions didn't fully hit me until the last hour of the Sonnensei doing their end of school year activities in their classrooms, and I was doing bingo with one of the classes. As for my feelings about this, well, I have some emotions tied up in this. This is my first time working at a school for 3 years straight. So this year's third year students were going to be my first batch of students that I have taught all 3 years of their middle school life. This year was going to be the first time I would see my, students graduate that were, students that I taught for 3 years. 3 years, that's a long time. I spent 3 years of my life with these children. And I was, excited about, our last week together and seeing them graduate and move on to the next stage of their lives. And yeah, it was just all so fast. And I did cry a little. I don't like crying at work, but I did cry a little, I'll admit that. By a little, I mean a lot. So on a personal, slightly selfish level, I'm kind of very deeply disappointed that classes were canceled because, the time together is gone. But mentally, I know that while I don't think the coronavirus here in Japan is going to be that bad, especially in Gifu Prefecture where I am, and where most people drive, and I only really use the train for travel and to go to Nagoya. Everything else, I drive. I haven't ridden a train in a month, at least. Dude takes the train a lot more often than I do. But I can't read the future, and if this does become bad, then I think it's better to do these kinds of precautions sooner rather than later, because then it'll be too late. It's a difficult feeling. I hope that all of my students, have a good time. And if I don't see them again, then I hope that I can run into them, at the mall or while I'm out shopping or eating at a restaurant. I'll see them again. I know it. And I hope that they have a good future. I hope they enjoy high school. Now, next week we have no classes. The teachers will go to work as normal, and the current plan for me that I heard from the principal at my school, who was making some phone calls, he said that Monday I am to come to class. He apologized, saying that it might be extremely boring because there isn't a whole lot of work, but please go ahead and come to school. There will be no kyushoku, no school lunch, so I need to bring my own food. And he also said it's fine for me to bring my own activities. Like, I plan on doing some work, some prep work. I have some cool ideas I want to try to put to action next school year. So I'll do some work, but I don't think it's going to be 8 hours of work in the office. So I'm probably going to bring some study items and more. If you are an ALT, whether or not you go to school next week will depend on your own situation, your company, your board of education, your school. So don't, don't just skip school because I'm going to work. So yeah, that was my day. This video might be a little bit erratic, but wow, it was a crazy day, y'all. I might do another video this weekend about some of the preparation that I've done here at home for coronavirus and other things. If y'all have any questions about this coronavirus situation here in Japan or here in Gifu Prefecture specifically, feel free to comment below. I will answer your questions both in the comments and, it might give me some ideas for the next video on this topic. That's all. I want to give a big smile and be like, if you like my video, hit the like button and subscribe. But it's kind of hard to get that cheer on. But if you do, want to hear more from me, yeah, hit that like button and hit subscribe. All right, see y'all. I think I'm just going to relax today because a lot happened today.